once again, everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time joining me today. Hi, my name is Hannah. I make a lot of different videos here on YouTube. Excuse me. Sometimes they're story times like this one. Sometimes they're tattoo related. Sometimes jewelry, makeup, just all different kinds of things here on the channel. I do want to go ahead and say, if my face looks weird today, like if my makeup looks weird, these lashes, I've worn them like a bazillion times and I'm pretty sure they're on their last leg, so just disregard that. Also, I tried a new makeup technique today that I've never done before, so if I'm looking a little bit bizarre, whack as the kids say, just ignore that. But I think that's the only thing I really have to say. I don't know, but let's jump right into the video. So this situation actually began on Tuesday night and continued all the way into Wednesday. So let me just kind of set this up for you. So my husband and I are still in the process of trying to sell our old house. It needed some work done, so it didn't go up on the market until like mid-January, so we're not that far into it. I mean, we're not really expecting anyone to buy before the school year is over because it's like pretty close to a school, so we figure whoever's gonna buy it or whoever is interested in it may be waiting until school is out, their kids are done, and all that kind of stuff. So that's besides the point. Anyway, so we hired a guy to mow the yard over at that house, and we figured since we were going to hire him, we could get him to do our flower beds at our house, because my husband can mow the yard and everything, but we have some pretty extensive flower beds like in the backyard and the front yard. And one of our main issues is cocoa. We constantly get cocoa popping up, and if you don't know, it's really annoying because to get cocoa to stop coming back, you have to like rip it completely out, like redo all the pine straw and all this stuff. So it's just a whole rigmarole that we don't like to deal with. We've done it ourselves, but this guy was relatively cheap. He's quick, he's been doing a good job, yada yada yada. But we've had him doing the yards and stuff since before Christmas. Like, we just wanted to keep the yard maintained at the other house and at our house. But obviously during the winter he didn't really have to do anything because the grass is dead, flowers are pretty much dead, like it's not that big of a deal. So recently he started doing our yard again because, hello, it's springtime in Louisiana, it's super hot. So he's been coming by like every 2 weeks or so to do our yard and the other house's yard. He usually knocks them out in the same day, whatever. So last week, I think it was actually 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I think it was around Monday of last week or whatever. Not this week, but the week before. So it's been like 2 weeks. So he did both houses. He normally doesn't have to redo the flower beds. He usually only redoes the flower beds like every couple of months or so. But since it is springtime and we went the whole winter without getting the flower beds redone, we decided to get them redone this time, and when he's doing the yard and everything. So this paycheck that we paid him was more expensive than normal. It was significantly, it was several $100s more than it normally would be because it was a lot of pine straw, a lot of manual labor, and we totally don't mind paying for that because it looks awesome in the end. So we're like, whatever, you do a great job, go ahead. So Dustin paid him with a check like he always does. Like I said, I think this was like 2 Mondays ago, so it's been 2 weeks. And so we get a phone call, or I get text messages. He starts texting me at 9 p.m. Tuesday night. 9 p.m. Tuesday night, me. I'm not the one with the checkbook. I don't have the checkbook that writes the checks and stuff. Dustin handles the checkbooks. He handles paying everybody who does stuff for us. Like the fence guy gets a check. Pool guys get a check. Lawn guys, they get a check. Because it's usually so much money that you don't just want to hand them all that cash, you know? I don't know. Is it just me that feels like sketchy, like handing a ton of cash? I don't know. I'm afraid that like I'll get robbed or the person will get robbed or something. So I'm like, whatever. But they get checks. You get the point. So he gave them this check that day that the guy came and did all the work and stuff. Like I said, 2 Mondays ago. So Tuesday night at 9 p.m. he starts texting me who doesn't pay him. I've literally never talked to him in person. I've only ever like called him the first time when we hired him and said, hey, can you do our yards? And he was like, yeah. So literally he's never spoken to me in person. He always talks to Dustin in person. He's got Dustin's phone number, yada, yada, yada. So it's 9 p.m. We're at Walmart and I get this text and it's like, hey, the check that you gave me bounced and they charged me $50. So what are you going to do about it? First of all, I'm going to try to tell the story without disclosing too much financial information because I just don't think that that's something that you talk about on the internet. So the way that Dustin's checkbook is set up is that the account that the checkbook is linked to has $0 in it at all times. So whenever he writes a check, the bank account that has $0, his bank pulls money from his assets and it uses that money. So even if like, it wouldn't make sense for a check to bounce. You get what I'm saying? Because there's never money in the account. The money is pulled from assets that Dustin has. So it wouldn't make sense for a check to bounce. It's not like, first of all, it's not like he didn't have the money because he did. But second of all, his checks do not bounce. Do you know what it's hard to explain without, going into the financial institution that he banks with and all of this stuff. But basically, there's literally no way for his checks to bounce because it draws from his assets. There's no money in the account. And it's set up that way so that if Dustin's checkbook gets stolen or something like that, and or the number gets stolen and they go to the account, there are $0 in the account because they have to draw it from the assets. So there's not just money sitting around in that account. It's really complicated and I don't even really fully understand the whole situation. But that's what I understand from what Dustin has told me and from what the lady on the phone has told me. So that's pretty much how it works. So there's literally no way for a check to bounce. It doesn't happen with his financial setup. That's not how it works. So I, of course, was like, oh my goodness, what happened? Because this happened Tuesday night. Monday, Dustin had some sort of issue with his bank or something. They declined a charge, something like that, because it was a larger amount than had been cleared. Because if he buys something and it's a large amount of money, he basically paid for we paid for our trip to Hot Springs. Okay, it was almost $1,000 for the cabin that we rented. So we thought that they were only going to charge the initial deposit, but they went ahead and did the whole amount. So it was only authorized for that small deposit amount, and it declined because it was the larger amount. So they were like, hey, what's going on? Is somebody trying to steal your account? He was like, no. He explained it, got it cleared up. So I was like, oh my gosh, did they for some reason say this check is bounced because we don't know this amount of money or whatever? Because like I said, it was a larger amount than usual. So I was like, oh my goodness, Dustin had a problem with his bank yesterday. I don't know what's going on. Let us check with the bank. So he was really upset, and he was just like, and I told him, I said, I'm sorry. I don't know why it did that. Like, we'll be more than happy to write you another check. I don't know what's going on. And he was like, no, I'm not taking checks from y'all anymore. I want cash or a money order. I'm not taking a check. Which pretty much pissed me off because, like, you've been working for us for over 6 months. This has never happened before. We've never missed a payment. We've never, done anything. Nothing remotely similar to this has happened, period. So I don't understand the need for the extreme, he was very defensive. And, I understand, if I've done a ton of manual labor or work in general for somebody and they give me a check and I go to the bank and they deposit it and they tell me, oh, we can't take this is bounced or whatever, then yeah, I would be upset. But, if it's somebody that you've worked for 6 months and this has never happened before, maybe you should not go to them in an aggressive, confrontational way. Maybe you should just talk to them, be like, hey, you know, this is what the bank told me. Do you know what's going on? Like, is everything okay? Did something weird happen? You know, what's going on? But no, he chose to come at me, the person who doesn't write the checks. My husband writes the checks. He decided to come to me at 9 o'clock at night, pissed off, and be like, I'm not taking a check from y'all anymore. I'm coming to your house tomorrow and you better have the cash and all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, calm down. So I start thinking about this, right? And I'm like, okay, I know that it does happen some places. If a check bounces that you try to deposit, you get charged $50 and the person who wrote the check gets charged $50. Sometimes it's only the person who wrote it and yada yada. That's how it works. So I'm thinking, okay, but how would this check bounce? Because there's more than enough money to cover it. Like, it shouldn't bounce, you know? So I'm thinking, something doesn't seem right here. You know, something seems a little bit off. So I told Dustin the situation. He's pissed off because he came to me upset, aggressive at 9 o'clock at night, rather than Dustin, who writes the checks, talks to him every time he comes to the house, handles everything to do with this. But instead he's going to come to me, pissed off at 9 o'clock at night, texting me, trying to call me. No, that's not going to fly. So we're both upset and aggravated. I called my mom. He called his stepdad. We both told him the situation, told him how it seemed kind of sketchy, and they were both like, yeah, something's going on there. Like, he's trying to get another check, or he's trying to get cash on top of the check. Do not give him any kind of money until you contact your bank, find out what happened and all this. So we're discussing all the possibilities walking through Walmart, and it kind of occurs to me, like, we paid him 2 weeks ago. Why is it just now bounced? So I texted him and I was like, hey, when did you deposit the check? And he was like, I deposited it last Thursday. So we're talking to him on a Tuesday. It happened. He deposited the previous Thursday. I'm thinking, okay, you've got the weekend in there, so that's 2 days that it's not going to be processing. But you have possibly half a day Thursday, depending on when he deposited it, Friday, and all day Monday. The longest that they take to process a check or deposit is usually 48 hours, 2 to 3 business days. So I'm thinking he should have known about this Monday at the latest. So why is he contacting me at 9 o'clock at night? So just as we're talking about it, more and more things are not adding up. It's just seeming really sketch. So obviously, when we get out, Dustin's bank is 24/7. You can call them 24/7 and talk to them about whatever problem you're having, whatever seems suspicious to you. So we go out to the car and we talk to the people. We're on the phone with them for like 25 minutes. And basically what we asked them to do was to check and see if any check in the last 6 months for this amount of money has been declined or even, you know, deposited, like if they even made an attempt to deposit it into their bank account. She looked for like 15 minutes. So this is like 35, 40 minutes we've been on the phone with her. And she's looking and looking. She can't find it. She's like, no, I'm really sorry. Like, I can't find any record of that. Like, it was never, you know, they never attempted to deposit that check. It was never attempted to be cashed. There was nothing like that. You know, it just, sorry, I can't find it. And she was like, can I ask why? So we explained the situation and she was like, okay, that's really suspicious. We really advise against you giving them more money until you see some sort of proof. You could ask for proof from their bank. You could go to their bank and see what happened. You could, you know, just investigate further. Don't just give them cash because they're upset. You know, just make sure you're very, very careful. So we're thinking, okay, even the bank lady thinks that this is fraud. Like, she thinks this is a scam. So, and like, to me, I'm like, why would it be a scam though? Like, I high key thought it was a scam. I really did. Because like, and to this day, I'm still like, You know, I'm just like, But anyway, I high-key thought it was a scam but also, what motive would he have? The only thing that would come from this is that we find out about it and we no longer use him, which, spoiler alert, we're still not going to continue to use him because of the way that he spoke to me. So, we talked to the bank lady and she's like, yeah, this seems super suspicious. I wouldn't advise that you proceed with that, like giving him more money. I would not advise that at all. So, this is just confirmation to us that, okay, we're not crazy. This is suspicious. Even the woman at the bank thinks it's suspicious. So I call my mom again. He calls his stepdad again, and we're telling them, and they're like, yeah, this has got to be a scam. Because, like, it just seemed nothing added up here at all. So Dustin's stepdad suggested, okay, how about this? See if you can meet him at his bank tomorrow at this time, and I can meet you there and we can all figure it out. Okay, so just text him and be like, hey, what bank do you bank at? Like, can we go and meet and figure this out tomorrow? So Dustin was texting him a few times during this, and like they were responding to each other and all this stuff. And as soon as he asked the guy, can you meet me at your bank tomorrow to sort this out with the bank people and my stepdad and all this, he goes ghost. Didn't reply until the next morning. The next morning rolls around and he starts banging on the door, the front door, like banging on the door, ringing the doorbell. It woke us up in the morning and I was like, don't go to the door. You literally told him that you're not giving him more money. He texted him and told him, I'm not giving you another check or any kind of cash until you bring me either proof or the old check. Because we didn't know if it was like a mobile deposit or what it was. So we were like, either bring us the check or bring us proof from your bank. So he said that initially, and then he said, can I meet you at your bank? And he never replied to that, okay? So he's beating down the door, banging on the door, trying to get in our house, and we're just like, nope, not answering it. And I told Dustin, I was like, just text him and tell him you'll meet him at the bank, because this is not the way to go about it, okay? It's not professional, it's not friendly, it's not cool. It's pretty stupid, if you ask me. Like, you must not need customers very bad, because whether you're trying to scam us or not, I have a very unprofessional view of you at this point, and I'm not going to keep you on the payroll. I'm sorry. And I'm certainly not going to keep you on the payroll when you're texting and trying to call me at 9 p.m. at night, pissed off and being ugly to me. I'm not doing it. Whether you're being truthful or not, that is not the way to go about it, okay? So, any business owners out there, just to let you know, that's not the way to go about it if you didn't already know. So, anyway, Dustin finally gets his clothes on because he's not going away from the door. And Dustin goes to the door and he's not there anymore. He just skirt right out of our driveway. So I'm like, what the hell? So anyway, Dustin finally gets a text back from him and he's like, I'm going to go try to get like the check from my bank or something and all this stuff. And Dustin's like, can I just meet you at the bank? And he's like, no, I'm just going to go get the check and blah, blah, blah. And then he's going to say, this is my bank and I just noticed that they waived that $50 fee. And now all of a sudden it's saying that they couldn't read the image or whatever. So I'm thinking, oh my God, how stupid are you? Did you just like take a really horrible picture of this check and upload it to the mobile banking thing? Like, what have you done? What have you done here? Why is this happening? And so Dustin is familiar with this bank because he has one of his bank accounts is at this bank. And he's like, that's not even how it works. If you try to upload a blurry or bad image to mobile banking to upload a check, like to deposit via mobile banking, they won't let you do it. They'll just make you retake the picture. So I'm like, oh my God, why is he lying for? Like, what's the reason? And now all of a sudden that $50 fee is waived 4 days later, 4 business days after you've deposited this check. Like, do you think we're dumb? Like, do you think we're stupid? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Okay. And I still to this day think that he was lying about a lot of parts of it and trying to get extra money out of us. even though, you know, we've allegedly cleared it up or whatever. So a few hours later, he turns back up at our door, and Dustin goes out to meet him, like, as soon as he starts knocking on the door and ringing the doorbell. So Dustin goes out there, and they talk for like 15 minutes. And Dustin comes back in, and he's like, yeah, he like showed me on his phone or whatever where it got declined or what. He's like, it was on his bank's end. It's their fault. I don't know what is going on or why they didn't want to take the check or whatever. But he was like, yeah, so apparently he did like an ATM deposit or something, and it wouldn't read it or whatever, and they still wouldn't take the check, and, you know, I need to give him money or what. And I'm like, this is dumb. And what really got me, I forgot to say this, is he told us, you know, they said that they declined it because it was a bad image or they couldn't read the image or whatever. He said, yeah, it said that it couldn't read the image, so, like, can I have another check? And at this point, I didn't know that it was, like, the ATM deposit or whatever he's talking about. I don't know. My bank is, like, in the, like, 1800s over here. It doesn't have, like, all of these things. I don't know. Like, if you want to deposit a check, you have to go in and be like, I want to deposit this, or go through the drive-thru. So I don't know what ATM deposit is. I have literally no idea, but I guess it takes a picture. I don't know. So before this, when I thought that it was the mobile, like online, like you take a picture of the check and it deposits it, I was like, why would you need another check? You still have the check. What do you mean? So I was very confused, you know, but apparently he tried to do an ATM deposit for this check or whatever, which doesn't make sense to me. Like, just go through the drive-thru or like drop it in the drop box and they'll put it in. Like, it doesn't make sense. He made this way more complicated than it had to be. I don't understand. I'm very confused. I still think there was a scam somewhere in there. I don't know, but it was super sketchy and I was super sketched out about it, and I'm still not going to let him cut our yard anymore. Or like cut the old house's yard into our flower beds. Like, I don't want to deal with somebody who does that. And like, even my mom and Dustin's stepdad and Dustin's friends and stuff, they were like, yeah, he 100% texted and tried to call Hannah because it's 9 o'clock at night. She's a female. She's more than likely going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, and just like buckle under the pressure or under whatever he's saying, which totally untrue. I mean, yeah, in some cases probably, but I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I'll see what's going on. But I'm not gonna be like, yeah, let me just give you all this money in cash. Like, it was hundreds of dollars. Like, yeah, let me give you all this cash, even though I don't know that you didn't try to deposit. But it was something going on with his bank. It was very confusing. We still don't know why it happened. We have no idea. But moral of the story is, don't take things at face value, I guess. Because if we would have just believed him, we would have had to pay the original check amount plus that $50 fee, which I still don't believe he was charged. I think what happened is that he did this deposit or whatever, and it didn't go through, and he got pissed off, and he was like, I'm going to charge them $50. But, like, that's beyond the point. Whatever. Just moral of the story, if somebody tells you something that sounds kind of weird, investigate further, because 9 times out of 10, if you think something sketchy is going on, something sketchy is probably going on. Trust your gut instinct, because I promise you, more often than not, you will find out some stuff that is super sketchy. I don't know. Life is strange. Don't trust people. Thank you guys once again so much for joining me again today. Leave me a like if you like this video, comment down below, and subscribe, because I make new videos every Monday and Friday. Thank you guys once again so much for joining me today, and I'll see you guys next time.